So guys, we're going to talk about prompting right now, and prompting are basically clues that would help the student be able to answer what's being asked of them. We want to make sure that we're always errorlessly teaching, and that means that the student is able to perform the task with the help of an instructor or a teacher. So we're going to get started with a hand-over-hand prompt, and essentially a hand-over-hand prompt means that you're doing the full action for the student. So if we're going to ask Priya to put the circle in, I'm going to do that right now. Put circle in. So I'm going to take her hand and I'm going to place it into the circle like that. Hand-over-hand prompts are mostly used for students who are just learning the skill and they're very new to the skill. So we want to make sure that we're helping them every step of the way. Now we're going to talk about partial prompt, and partial prompt is a bit different from hand over hand. We're going to let go of the student's hand at the very last second so that they can see where the shape goes. So Priya, let's put circle in. I'm going to hold her hand, and while she's going to the circle, I'm going to let go, and she's going to put it in by herself. But basically I got her to the circle, and then she did the rest of the work. Now we're going to talk about a different type of partial prompt. This is where we're going to help Priya in a different way, and I'm going to hold her arm in a different location. So Priya, we're going to put circle in. I'm going to hold her elbow, and we're going to do the same thing. When we get to the circle, I'm going to let go, and then she's going to do the rest of the work. Another variation to that is now we're going to do a triangle. And instead of holding the elbow, I'm going to hold the shoulder. This is for people who are a bit more confident with the skill and they can be very successful at it. We want to make sure again that we're errorlessly teaching. So I can help Priya by just holding up here. We're going to go slightly up, and again, she's doing most of the work. And there we go. The next prompt level we're going to do is a gestural prompt, and in this prompt we're not going to make any physical contact with Priya whatsoever. So all I'm going to do is ask Priya to put the triangle in. Priya, put triangle in. And all I'm doing is I'm pointing to the shape of where it should be going. And that's about it for gestural prompt. The next prompt we're going to talk about is positional prompt. And with positional prompt, again, we're not going to physically interact with the child. We're going to make sure that the stimuli is going to be positioned in a certain way. So for this, if Priya is identifying the triangle, we're going to put the triangle closer to Priya. So we're going to say, Priya, show me the triangle. And right here we have the circle very far away and the triangle very close to her. So again, we're going to ask Priya, show us the triangle. And because it's so close to her, she's going to be more inclined to go for the shape that's closer to her. So the next prompt we're going to do is a visual prompt. And with this, you can see a picture of a triangle. And I'm going to ask Priya to give us the triangle, but making sure that I show her the picture just before I do that. So it's a visual reference before she can pick out the triangle. So Priya, show us the triangle. And she would choose the triangle. The reason why we're pairing the visual with what I'm saying is because sometimes kids with autism have a hard time understanding what we're saying, but if we provide the visual as well, it makes the statement a bit clearer. The next type of prompt we're going to talk about is a verbal prompt, and sometimes in ABA it's called an interverbal. Interverbal means that we would start the first sound of the word and then Priya would finish it. But for now, we're going to assume that Priya doesn't know what a triangle is, so I'm going to give her the full verbal prompt. So Priya, what is this called? Triangle.
Triangle.
What is this called?
Triangle.
Perfect. The second part of our verbal prompt is that I'm going to say the first part of the word, and we're hoping after much exposure to the word triangle that Priya would understand once I say try, she will say angle. So Priya, what is this called? Triangle. Priya, what is this called? Triangle. Perfect. The next topic we're going to talk about is prompt fading. And usually what that means is that we're going to make sure that we don't stay with the same prompt level. We're going to try and decrease our intrusiveness. And what that means is that we're going to slowly fade ourselves back. So let's say that I start with Priya on the hand-over-hand prompt. I'm going to tell her to put the circle in, and I do it with a hand-over-hand. And as the day goes on, she gets more comfortable with it, I can start fading my prompts a little bit. So we're going to ask Priya to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to go partial prompts. What you're going to do as well is that if you see that your prompts are fading and the child is still successful, you're going to make sure you reinforce them even higher than you usually would, just because we're going to make sure that they can execute the task more independently. So let's try that again, but now I'm going to reinforce right after we do that. Priya, let's put triangle in. Great job! High five! The next topic we're going to talk about is when to deliver the instruction, especially when the student is at an independent level. So now that Priya understands how to do the shape sorter, we're going to make sure that she's still complying with our instructions. So Priya, put star in. She doesn't do anything. It's been 3 to 5 seconds, so I'm going to help her and make sure that she complies to my instruction. And then she got it, so we're going to try it again, and let's see if she does it this time. Priya, put in circle. Awesome. High five.